So I told Heather what it said, and what did you say?
Well, they're not getting away with that. If Tottenham and all these other clubs can have a song, we can have a song. So we're doing it. We'll do it. We'll do the whole thing and sell them ourselves. Even if I sell them from outside the house, we will do this. So that's what we did, wasn't it?
Yes, you did. And we got a little bedroom studio, which was great for a songwriter and for what we did, getting a few people in. But it was a bedroom studio, the smallest bedroom in the house, in the little semi in Kersley Village. And I just thought, this is going to be good. But so that was basically the beginnings of it. And then you start thinking, are they going to get through the semis? Because we were told if they got through the semi-final and they won the match, then the next date they would be round at our place recording the single. You got a call from BBC, didn't you?
Yeah.
Midlands Today, from Steve Lee, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And he rang and he said to you, well, you took the call.
Yeah, he says, I believe you've got the football team coming round your house today. Well, I've been told to tell them, no, we're not recording it today. They can actually come another day and take pictures. And I didn't know what to say because he says, I believe they're coming round. And I says, well, I don't think you're supposed to come, at the moment. So he says, well, we're on our way. And he says, no, just rang Central to tell them as well. So I thought, okay, right. And cable television were there. I'd got the players, I kept taking the phone out. And they kept putting it back in and were ringing
because
all over the place.
The players were turning up one at a time. And I said, well, is John Sillett coming? Is George Curtis coming? Oh no, they've just told us to turn up here. And we expected a recording studio. But,
I think they were bewildered.
This is great, but we expected a recording studio, and this is like opposite the colliery, Kersley Village. And it was like really, and we got a few. I mean, they were all in the garden at first, weren't they? In the front garden.
They were.
Assembling, and this
and
team.
Someone turned up with a crate of lager, which helped quite.
It did.
I think that's what helped them sing.
It did, but this team that were wanted by everyone in the country, because they were in the cup final, were descending on us in our house, and it was bizarre. It sounded very musical when they started from the word go. It was incredible. It was one of those things that was meant to be, because I'd done a guide vocal, which in my voice was very like 60s sounding, one of those voices. And they started, and it transformed the song from just a song that I'd done that sounded 60s style in a way because of my voice, into a football song because the voices just had that gravity and the weight that it needed to make it
roughness.
Well, I was trying to be polite, but they were in tune.
Yeah, they were.
They were all in tune, and they all had some kind of musicality about them, didn't they?
They did. They were dancing as they were singing, which helped.
Yeah.
I think.
It was like
hitting the head on the chandelier. Oggy wasn't he?
Oggy was hitting his head on the chandelier. Oggy, once, what did he say? Why don't three of us do a solo? That was Oggy's famous quote.
And then we had to mix it and be in London the next day. Because we didn't have
it was
long
booked.
to do it.
We had, remember, those days, I don't know what it is now, from the semi to the final was 3 weeks. So we had 3 weeks to record this, mix it, get the singles cut and out in the shops,
And put on record, which took longer, didn't it?
Yeah. And Tottenham, of course, had done theirs in Abbey Road or somewhere.
Somewhere a little bit more salubrious.
Yeah, well, I think it was. And with Chaz and Dave, and they got the record company behind them. So everybody handled every part. We were doing everything. It wasn't a sponsorship deal, it was a loan we had from Granada. They said, we'll pay for everything. And they actually paid for the cover, didn't they, as well?
They did. They paid
the single cover.
The outgoings at the time, to pay for all the pressings and the cutting.
Because Joe Stainer said, who's going to pay for it all? I'll try and get the money together if you like. It's going to cost about, what was it, £4,000, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or something to do, get all the pressings done and everything else. And I said, well, I've rang Granada, and they sponsored the club at the time. And they said, we'll do it. We'll give you the money and you know, obviously you can give it us back when you get it back in. But we'll pay for the sleeve to be done. That's part of the sponsorship. And they got a picture from the Evening Telegraph, or we did, didn't we, for the cover. And that's what happened. But we had to go and collect the money from the local Granada bingo.
It's crazy.
So they were going round. They hadn't quite got enough. So they were going around all the machines and emptying them all the bandits and everything, all the pool tables. Oh, it was honestly.
And we came out with a bag of money.
We did. We came out with all this cash, and it was selling because Gallup, who were doing the charts at the time, rang and said, "Are you the person responsible for Coventry City's cup final single? Go for it." And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, this is Gallup. They're based in Tottenham in London."
Who compiled the charts?
Yeah. So he said, "It's picking up a lot of sales, and it will definitely chart this week." I said, "That's amazing, amazing." He said, "It's number, I think, 84 at the moment." He said, "So it'll probably go up because it's selling a lot." And he didn't ask anything else. That was it. Just informed me of those facts. And then, I don't know how we found out. I think
from the record shops.
The record shop said
they had a phone call.
Yeah,
because
that's right.
They said they were selling too many, so they couldn't be selling that many, which they were, because I was delivering them to the shops because PRT couldn't get them there quick enough for the signings of the players. So we took the records down ourselves.
So we distributed thousands.
Yeah. And Gallup had said, "Oh well, no, that, you know, this isn't genuine."
So they discounted every sale in Coventry.
So they cut the machines off in Coventry and says, "Oh, they're being maintenance." And they cut it off, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they worked something.
And
out.
Kenilworth, I think they cut them off, didn't they? So that didn't help.
And Leamington.
Yeah. So maybe, you know,
We'd have
without
been
that
top
help
30.
from Gallup, we may have.
Yeah, and you can't sue them really now.
Because
and I
in
think we
another
should.
in another chart, we were 13, weren't we? When I
We
looked
were in the
at that
NME
one.
chart as well.
I think the lasting legacy is that now, whenever anybody hears "Go For It," it triggers such wonderful memories, and you can't help it. The minute that you hear that, you actually are back there at that cup final and everything that went with it. And I think it just means so much, and the lovely people that have come up to us and said, you know, what it means to them. I think that's the legacy of Go For It.
I think that's true, and I think Heather said it all. Because when we went to the launch, it was the Enemy were number one, weren't they? And it was Horace Panter's book launch, and we went to the book launch. And the Enemy, the band, were there, number one in the album charts. And we got chatting to them, said how great it was and lovely that a Coventry band were number one in the album charts. And they said, "Yeah, but you wrote Go For It." And we're just absolutely thrilled to meet the writers of Go For It. And they were sitting there, number one in the album charts, and we couldn't believe it.
No,
because they were just so thrilled to meet us. And you think, well, you know, that says it all, doesn't it? It's the lasting legacy, as you say, is
the feel-good
the memory, is
factor.
the feel-good factor.
And everybody needs that.
And what
we
it's-
need it again,
what it-
really, don't we?
When it came to the late 80s, the Coventry band has to be the Primitives. A set of superb songs and a great image through lead singer Tracy Tracy. And let's face it, a superb song with Crash.
Number one, they had incredibly good songs. They were very much in the sort of punk pop culture and tradition, which I'd admired for people like Buzzcocks, Undertones, Blondie, that sort of thing. They're extremely well written songs. They had a lot of presence on stage. I was a bit of a sucker, I think, for Paul's chimey, jangly guitar. And they were a great live band. I mean, they just were very infectious. They built up an awful lot of energy, but they had this wonderful pop sensibility, and the songs were all great. They didn't really have any clunky songs. and whether you listened to their records or saw them live, they just had a lot of excitement. And when they came out, there was a sort of lull, I think, in pop music. There'd been, you know, a sense that after the things around two-tone in the city, there'd been a lot of diversification, a lot of searching for things, and suddenly Primitives pulled it all together. And I was absolutely delighted when it started having a few hits, because it sort of offered another vision of what Coventry music was.
The 1990s for Coventry, we'll talk about extremes. On one hand you've got Napalm Death with grindcore, and on the other hand you've got the clubbing sound, which came of course from the Eclipse, which was the first time I think it was a legalised rave, and that is kind of forgotten by a lot of people, that came out of Coventry. And of course we have our very own Grammy Award winner, Roger Lomas.
And I got a phone call one day, again from Frank Lee, saying we want to do an album with Lee Scratch Perry. Obviously you're our first choice, you know, would you be able to do it? You know, and I said, Frank, I don't want to do it. He said, no, be good for you to do that. You know, he's a good name. I said, oh, Frank, he burnt his own studio down. I've read, I don't know much about it. I've recorded lots of his music. You know what I mean? I haven't got a problem there. But I said, this studio's in my house at the end of the garden. I've heard all the stories. If you're saying to me, what's it going to take for me to do it? I said, let me have a think about it and I'll get back to you. I will consider it, but it's got to be under my terms. So I got back to him. I said, right, I don't want to work per day or whatever. I said, I want to work on per track. So in other words, the more tracks we record, the more everybody earns, you know what I mean? Because it gives them an incentive to do a good job and get on with Lee and everything to go well. Because it was total unknown quantity how long we would do. The record company was so confident he would blow a fuse probably after a day and go home, that they said to me, unbeknown to Lee, although he did find out the first day he came in, we came in with the musicians a day early, right? And we recorded 4 songs. And they said, look, if you can record 4 songs, they'd worked it out, because they had bits and bobs of Lee Perry's previous stuff that hadn't come out, with a bit of tarting up and whatever. They said, but we're certainly 4 tracks short. That Lee comes in on the first day, and I break the news, well, we've actually took the liberty of recording 4 tracks, you know. Yesterday we had a set-up day, and you know, we got into the swing of it, and we've done these 4 backing tracks. Have a listen, see what you think, you know, before we move on, you know. But we put these 4 tracks down, you know, to see if it's the kind of thing that you might like, and or you know, been a bit diplomatic. And played him the first track straight away. Give me the mic, you know, and. He got his own mic. You weren't allowed to bloody touch his mic. All I could do was pass him a lead. He plugged in with my mic. Play the track again. Play the track again. He started singing straight away. He's standing right there. Didn't even have a chair. Didn't sit down the whole session. Anyway, he loved it straight away. So he just dubbed some vocals over this first song. Played in the next song. Give him the mic again. You know, pass him a lead again. Because each time he unplugs it and he puts his mic away, he's got this like travel bag. Then you know you can put in the overhead compartments on a plane, the little what are they, suitcase things with a handle on, whatever you call them. And anyway, he loved the 4 tracks. So straight away, within, and this is literally in the space of about an hour, we'd got his vocals down on 4 tracks. So getting in the day before, and in the first hour of the first day with Lee in there, we'd got which was all the record company expected us to do. If we got any more than that, they'd be delightful. But they thought, if you can somehow manage to get 4 tracks done, we'll somehow be able to scrape up some other tracks which I can work on, you know, and make up an album. Anyway, it went on, you know, and we probably recorded another 3 or 4 tracks or something on the rest of that day, you know. Everybody loved it, and Lee absolutely loved it, and we kept going on and on and on. And I thought, we've already got like 20 tracks down or something, 22 tracks or whatever it is, and they're paying per track. It's going to cost them a fortune. Because of the nature of the way I recorded the record, you know, and even mixing the whole album in a day and a half, I got the telephone call one day by Del Taylor at Trojan saying, never guess what, Rog? I said, what? He said the Lee Perry album. He said, it's only been nominated for a Grammy. And of course I start laughing. He said, no, he said, I'm not winding you up, I'm serious. It's been nominated for a Grammy. And I thought, anyway, we end the conversation, and I thought, curiosity's got the better of me here. I Googled it, and sure enough, I looked in the list of nominations, and there it was. You know, I think there might have been 6 nominations or something for the best reggae category of 2002. I thought, bloody hell, you know. But even so, I just totally wrote it off, because I thought there's no way in a million years that's going to win a Grammy. It ain't going to happen, you know. And all the time when people know it's been nominated, you go out to the awards, you know, good luck, hope you go. I said, I ain't going over there. I'm not going to go all that way to be disappointed at my own expense. I worked out the time difference or whatever. I said, if that's won, my phone's going to ring at about 8 o'clock, 8:30, something like that. If it doesn't, then, you know, because nobody's going to ring you to tell you it didn't win, because I made it quite obvious that I didn't think it stood a cat and owl's chance of winning, you know. And sure enough, the bloody phone rang 8 o'clock, and it was Del Taylor. It's only gone and won it. And even then I said, come on, Del, you know what, this is the wind-up. And he said, no, I'm deadly serious, he's won it. I thought, bloody hell. So that was a hell of a surprise. But the biggest surprise of all was I didn't know that producers got a Grammy Award. I thought it was only the artist that got the Grammy Award, you see. So that was the biggest surprise.
People talk about Two-Tone being Coventry's fusion music, but Coventry was well known for its Bhangra, which of course is a massive form of fusion music. And one of the guys to come out of there, of course, is Punjabi MC. And Punjabi MC, of course, with Mundi and Kabachki, Beware of the Boys, was a massive, massive hit single and mainstream Bhangra music. And that came from a Coventry guy.
The music from Coventry, you know, just like, because I used to go out a lot more, it was at college I was more oriented towards the kind of like the Bhangra or the Asian parties, and this gave me an experience of kind of like going outside that box and, you know, experiencing all different types of music live. So just having that influence, you know, seeing how bands interact and how musicians interact at jams and all sorts of different environments that I discovered at the time. Yo, it's Punjabi MC right now. I'm at the Coventry Music Museum. Keep it locked out. This is
Johnny Z, Taz Singh, Stereo Nation, whatever you want to call him, is a massive talent, selling so many records and such a great Coventry ambassador as well. And he fits in with the story. I mean, we talk about Coventry culture and heritage. He fits in the story because he was one of the first guys to actually look at the different genres and mix them together. And we talk about fusion again. He was the guy that has helped to create that Asian-Western fusion. And again, it came from Coventry.
We weren't allowed to really speak in English at home, and we weren't allowed to listen to English music at home. So we were very cultured, you know, we brought upon Punjabi folk music, you know, so it was just, you know, that sort of had a big influence. But obviously, when you start going to school, I'm picking up on different music, picking up on reggae, picking up on ska, picking up on all different kinds of music. So to me, that was like, well, there's no hope. So all that kind of came into the melting pot. So from my dad's place, you know, family business. And I used to have a tendency, when nobody's around, to just sing along to the radio. I mean, sing my heart out, you know, sort of practice once a word. Because I didn't have anywhere else to practice. It was just like, when nobody's looking, that's an answer. And they came in, they popped their head through the door, and I was blushing because they called me out, you know, I was in full flow. And then they took me to the studio. Stereo Nation came about when we had our first Top 40, that was in '96. It was, for me, shifting from the name Johnny Z to Stereo Nation was more a thing about, okay, I've kind of grown out of this and I don't want anybody to have the sort of preconception about, oh, he only does this or he only does that. So the word Stereo Nation, the name Stereo Nation, was more about giving myself a global name as a band. So it was a very conscious thing that I did at the time. And also, apart from the fact, I mean, you know, my music kind of elevated itself, but, you know, took another turn and another step upwards. So it was fantastic. And we had a top 40 with I've Been Waiting, which